Ivy, nuestra nueva novia.
Quiero irme a casa, por favor.
Estás en tu casa.
Okay, my first question is, this is your first horror movie for both of you, I think. So how has it been the experience?
Yeah, amazing. I've had such an amazing experience being able to work with Nat and Jess and Sean and all of this amazing cast. Was so much fun, and to be able to dress up in these amazing costumes and on these amazing sets, and to work with an old kind of idea and modernize it. It was really, really, really amazing. Film in Budapest. It was great. I just took all the
It's fine. No, it's fine. I'm so sorry. We had so much fun doing this film, but I think because there's so many elements to this thriller and this horror. It's not just like a straight up like gore, like blood fest. It's not a straight up kind of, you know, gothic horror. It's also like very psychological. It's kind of a slow burner. So we had lots of elements. We also had the very like in a way like action elements to it too, where we got to sort of fight and be kind of doing all of these kind of great thriller horror
romance.
Yeah, romance, like all of it. It was kind of just a great mix of all of it and amalgamation of all of it. So it was just a lot of fun to do, and I'm a huge fan of this kind of type of storytelling, because like the moment that it all unravels, like you're constantly going, but wait, is it this, and as a viewer you're so kind of looking for the what is it, and I just, to be able to get to do a film like that, I just thought it was so much fun, and he's quite fun to work with as well. So
Oh, it's been incredible. You know, I've had such incredible support from Sony. They've been incredible partners the whole way. And I, as someone who is a childhood geek and absolutely loved, horror films growing up, from, Jaws to all the Hitchcocks to, The Omen was one of my favorites. The Shining is definitely my number one favorite. It was just such a joy to finally be able to put my stamp on this genre.
So which were your main references?
Yeah, so basically what I did in pre-production is I watched every single vampire film ever made, and I avoided doing what they do because I thought I really wanted to have a fresh look on this, and I really didn't want to, sometimes you can subconsciously absorb something and put it in your film. So I really tried, hard to not do that. I'd say the closest is actually Tony Scott's The Hunger, because of the blue lighting, that kind of blue moonlight lighting that he used in terms of the stylistic look, and these very like alluring vampires living in New York, which I found very intriguing. Yeah, I actually tried to avoid that. And I'd say that I took more references from non-horror genre. So from dramas, from romance, in terms of those like the lovely pinks, and how to have our characters work together. That to me is the most important. And what sells a horror film, what sells any film, is performance. So that is how I think it stands apart, is that it's got great performances and great characters.
So would you like to do another horror movie, or would you like now to try something new?
I'll never say no. But to be honest, there's so many other genres. I need to do a sci-fi. I need to do a thriller. The next one I've got coming up is like a psychological drama. There's lots of genres in the world to try. I've got to try an action film. So and then I'll come back around and do another horror.
Okay, so what about vampires? Because in my opinion, they always work. It doesn't matter if it's a book, if it's an old movie nowadays in all horror movies. So why are they always so attractive, so interesting?
Horror movies?
No, vampires.
Oh, vampires.
Oh, vampires.
Good question. I don't know. I think there's like a mystery. I mean, a lot of them are really old.
Yeah, I think there's also this fascination with like immortality as well. And I think, unfortunately, as human beings, I think we have like an inherently sort of violence about our existence. And I think the sort of combination of like there's like a sort of like sexiness about vampires, and combined with the like violence and the sort of immortality, and this idea of being all powerful. Like these are all ideas that like, we kind of interact with in our sort of regular human experiences, but we, to obviously varying degrees. But I just think it's like a sort of combination of lots of things that human beings are like weirdly sort of curious by or fascinated by or excited by, you know what I mean? And I think that's why they kind of work. And the Dracula story specifically, you know, it really is a sort of metaphor for like the powerful kind of eating the less powerful, you know, and I think that's just something.
Yeah, I think, you know, I was researching this a lot in the lead up to, and I actually was looking at where the origins of the vampire story comes from, because it's really in almost every culture of these people that come alive that look exactly like us and end up, you know, turning against us and sucking our blood or killing us, feeding on us. And I think it's just something that has fascinated humans from the beginning of time. I think what's always scarier to me and what I find so scary about movies like The Shining is that it's somebody that you know, somebody that looks like you, somebody that's in the bed, not under the bed, as I say. And I think that this terrifies people. Also, they're attractive. And who doesn't like an attractive person?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so well, also the movie talks about this topic that we can see in other recent movies like Get Out, Ready or Not, which is crazy white aristocratic families. What's happening about that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the film is really, it's a Me Too film without being a Me Too film, right? Like, I didn't want to make a Me Too film about Harvey Weinstein or Jeffrey Epstein or any of these horrible men. To me, why not use one of the oldest diabolical predators of all time as a metaphor for that? And I think that's interesting. I love horror, like you said, Get Out, that has something to say. You know, I love that about, you know, in all genre, like a sci-fi film like Arrival, that I feel is really a commentary on grief and time and loss. You know, that's what makes a film interesting, when it's not just surface level, when it's got something deeper going on. And I do think that we're seeing around the world a lot of white aristocratic families doing the wrong thing. So, so it felt like it was part of the zeitgeist. Yeah.
I would love to ask you, because I just interviewed Jessica and she told me that this is like a Me Too movie without being a Me Too movie. So how important is this, giving those messages even in not as serious, more entertaining movies like this one?
Well, I think the fascination about genre is that you can talk about these things in a way that people are more willing to receive. I think that's the kind of brilliance of making something really high concept and really kind of feels separated from real life. But, you know, this movie is about people who are incredibly powerful in every way, exploiting and brutalizing people who aren't. And whether that's women or people of color or people from a working class background or, you know, whatever, like they are, they're like, it's sort of just having that conversation. And, but we're doing it in the sort of context of this very popular, like, sort of story and landscape that we're all so familiar with, and just kind of inverting it. And I think, yeah, like I said, it makes it more digestible for people. For some reason, we can talk about oppression in these, almost like fantasy type situations.
What about tell me a bit about how did you develop the character of Natalie? Because I found it very powerful, very, as you said, she's like a Me Too movie with her being a Me Too movie. So how did you work in this contrast between her, which is a woman from the 21st century, and this family, which is like a middle-aged family?
Yeah, so I really love matching up of genres, and I really love matching up of time periods and kind of production design elements. So, and with Natalie, to me, I really identified with her because I moved to New York when I was 24 without knowing a single soul in the world, and just was like, I'm going to become a filmmaker. Obviously, it worked out, but quite often there were struggles and there was hardship, and that's what Natalie's character is going through at the start. And I think that's a very identifiable thing. And so when she finds, you know, this long lost family member, of course, she wants to go meet them. She wants to go find the origin of her family and her roots. And of course, that all goes awry, as sometimes it does. And then I really loved, me and the production designer, Felicity Abbott, really had we got to enjoy, we had such a feast. We got to film in a real medieval castle, which was just such a joy. And but one thing that we kept very contemporary touches. So for instance, all the light fixtures are modern, all the a lot of the kind of murals on the wall are modern, and that to me is really like blending of those two worlds, of those two genres. And I wanted to show that these are people that have been around for hundreds of years, for centuries, and how their taste has evolved over time. So even though it's a contemporary film, I still feel like it's got some throwbacks to some, you know, old Gothic lore.
That's cool. Okay, they're telling me that it's a wrap, so thank you very much and have a
Thank
nice
you,
day. Good
Gonzalo.
luck with the movie.
Ayúdame, por favor.